Hello and welcome to Dragon Riders Around the Watch D&D Talk. I am Doragon, Kishu, Paladin, and Dragon Rider. This show is about talking about D&D with most of the people in chat, and I also will have D&D subjects to talk about with chat, or just when the chat doesn't come or isn't there, then we'll just talk about the subject, and this will be available on Twitch, and it'll also be available on my YouTube, so you can reply and all there. But let's get going. I wanted to talk today. The subject that I chose was actually the movies that inspired us growing up in regards to D&D. I did write down a few of mine and was going to talk a little bit about them, but I also got a reply to one of my tweets from my good friend Eric, who is I've known for several years on Twitter, and he's also in my the campaign that I run on Discord. All right, let's just I think I'll start with my list just because I had this, and then it's interesting because he has several of the same ones. But Conan the Barbarian, I just love it. I watched that movie over and over again. The original Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know they made a new one. I know they had Conan Destroyer, which I also saw, and I actually saw both of these. Wait, did I see the Conan the Barbarian in the theater or not? I know I saw Conan the Destroyer in the theater. Anyway, Conan the Barbarian. First of all, I have a theory in regards to anything with a good guy, bad guy situations, that the movies can really only be as good as the villain. And Tulsa Doom, played by James Earl Jones, was phenomenal in the original Conan. Just a scary dude, big serpent-eyed dude. And of course, he plays my favorite villain of all time. At least does the voice for Darth Vader. He's my favorite villain of all time. So having him also in Conan, so the sci-fi over here and fantasy over here, So with Conan, I love the scenes where he's out. I love the archer guy that he travels with, and I mean the characters in it, other than Conan, are kind of two-dimensional, but that's okay. And Conan, the only reason that I feel Conan is more than two-dimensional, aside from the fact that he's a brilliant conceived character, I do feel that Schwarzenegger is actually a really smart guy. And it's not he's a decent actor. He's pretty good in some movies, but he's really smart, and so he adds depth, even though he's muscly and everything else. So yeah, and the scenes when they're sitting on under the clouds and they're talking about their gods, and there's just so much to Conan the Barbarian that inspires me, and I would watch that anytime just to get myself in that fantasy kind of thing. Moving on really quick, Dragon Slayer is. I should really touch to Conan Destroyer in the second Conan Destroyer, the second movie. The thing that I loved about that was the wizard. Like I said, the characters were kind of silly that were around Conan, but the wizard, the evil guy, was awesome. And his little island, and his room of mirrors, and I won't say any more in case you haven't seen it. You should see it at least for the ending of that movie, I really feel. Now, these are B movies. These are movies that are, they're not like high budget necessarily. I don't even know what they were. But you got to go into it like you're going to see a B movie, a Sunday matinee or something, and kind of be a kid when you see these. But still, this, near the ending battle and the ending stuff with Conan the Destroyer was really good. And yeah, Dragon Slayer. I feel it's the best wizard and best dragon in film to this day. And I know there's been other ones. Reign of Fire has a great dragon. I don't know if you've ever seen Reign of Fire. I was turned on to it. I didn't see it in a theater, but my sister, I think, saw it, or somebody saw it and told me about it. And you got to see Reign of Fire, if nothing else, for the dragon. But there's other scenes in it that make it worthwhile. Another B film, but it has some Christian Bale as the main actor, though. So the acting, I mean, he's an actor's actor, but that's not what this movie's about. It's not about great acting. It's about this big scary dragon. So you got to check out Reign of Fire. Let's see here, and of course Merlin in Excalibur. Excalibur is a tricky movie because I love the suits of armor. I used to love Lancelot, and his armor, and that silver armor is phenomenal, and it's just a beautiful film. I know they talked about that film, the music kind of putting people to sleep, but that's just a matter of opinion. But visually, I mean, it's great. It's it has a lot of famous music in it. But the Merlin, the actor that played him, the skull cap, just the whole creature-esque wizardness of him was amazing. And let's see. Also, yeah, I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Another movie, Crawl. Now this one's really a B movie. I think Liam Neeson's in it when he was younger. And but the thing that really grabbed me about Krull, Krull, and these are like movies in the 80s, I think. They have a creature. Of course, the Cyclops is kind of cool, but it's just an adventure movie. But there's a doppelganger-esque creature in it, and it's terrifying, especially as a kid. But even now, get in that mode, be a kid, be open, and watch Krull. And there's, like I said, a doppelganger-esque, which a doppelganger, if you don't know, and probably do if you're watching this, is a shapeshifter. But I felt the way that they presented like that kind of doppelganger shape-shifting creature, it was awesome in Krull. It was the best part of the movie, in my opinion. Clash of Titans is classic. I saw the new one too, and I actually saw the new one in 3D. It was made for 3D. It's funny, 3D has kind of just been I don't know, a silly thing for most of us in the last while, and I think it was bigger in the 50s. But when Avatar came out, and I saw that in 3D, I was blown away. It was the first time I ever felt like I experienced what 3D could be. The things that they did in Avatar, and I don't know how many people got to see it that way, but my point is that 3D started to kind of come back a little bit at that moment after Avatar, and they did the new Clash of Titans, so it was in 3D when I saw that, and that was kind of a fun movie because there were these giant scorpions, and so the tail was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was coming at you. So that was a fun way for the 3D thing. Of course, Lord of the Rings. I mean, granted, I wasn't a kid when I saw those, but I mean, come on. Lord of the Rings animated was the one that really truly inspired me. Aragorn was my favorite character. In fact, it was my sister's one of my sister's favorite characters as well. In general, in the books she read, I wasn't a big reader. I was mostly a movie watcher. But she named her horse Aragorn. But Aragorn in the animated one was awesome. And the animated and Gandalf, of course. I mean, all of them. I mean, it's Lord of the Rings. And then with the new ones, you can go on and on about the new ones. But I want to kind of get over to, I was going to, really quickly, Clash of the Titans. Now, this is another thing where, like, as good as the villains. Well, as cool as the Titan was, or the Kraken was in Clash of the Titans, Medusa stole the show for me in the first one. And in the second one, really. The first one was terrifying. The eyes of the Medusa were terrifying for me as a kid. And I saw this in the theater. So that was, once again, if you can let go of the, kind of go see a B movie, open up, be a kid, and just experience it for fun. I think you might really enjoy the Medusa scene in the Clash of Titans if you've never seen it. And in the second one, it's just really cool in the second one. It's not as terrifying, but it's because by then you've seen so many movies with so many effects and everything else, it's kind of hard to scare an audience these days. But yeah, so definitely check out the Clash of Titans, both of them, for the Medusa scenes, especially if you want to be inspired in regards to D&D, and especially if you want to maybe use that kind of creature ever in D&D, because it's a phenomenal creature. I'm just going to go over to Eric's list really quick that he threw together. Black Cauldron, I saw that. Did I see that as a kid? That's my girlfriend Kate loves that too. She was really scared by there was something about that. It may have been the bad guy. Black Cauldron, I believe I did see that in the theater. That's definitely a magical movie, definitely a good movie to see in regards to just being inspired. He has Conan the Destroyer written there, and Dragon Slayer he had on his list. Fire and Ice. I actually saw that in the theater too, because I'm older than I look, I think. So my brother and I saw Fire and Ice, and we loved it. I think it was Ralph. Was it Ralph Bakshi? I don't know, but it was. I think it was mostly about the animation, and I think the villain was pretty funny. He was evil, but he was kind of funny. I think not like regular comedy, but kind of like, I think you got to see it. Anyway, it's been too long since I've seen it to give a lot of comments about it, actually. He mentions Hobbit the Animated. I did see that, I think, on TV at some point, where there's a whip, there's a way. It was the scene where they have the hobbits. Or no, wait, I don't know. I'm not sure. Now I'm thinking, I'm getting confused with Lord of the Rings. But yeah, the Hobbit the Animated series, I know I've seen parts, or at least I may have seen it once on TV years ago. And I know that, of course, anything to do with the Hobbit or Lord of the Rings is inspiring. He has Krull on his list. He has Labyrinth. Now, Labyrinth, I saw this as a kid, and there were aspects of it that I didn't like. I don't know, the girl was whiny, but that was on purpose. She was supposed to be whiny because she was supposed to be going from adolescence to growing up. I mean, from the beginning to the end of the film, she's supposed to slowly be becoming a young woman, as opposed to just kind of a whiny whatever. Whiny girl has to watch the baby and complains, and kind of like one of my sisters. It's a terrible thing to say, but I shouldn't have said it. Oh well. But she did not like watching us when we were kids. That's all I'm saying. And but yeah, And we were good kids, except for when we burned the house down. But that's another story. And we only burnt down part of the house. Yeah, so Labyrinth. Okay, so Labyrinth, of course, I love Jim Henson, does all the puppets. And I love the little fox guy who rides the sheepdog. But Labyrinth, for me, I wasn't a big fan of Hoggle, guy that kind of led her through the Labyrinth. I don't know if you've ever seen Labyrinth. It's very 80s. Very 80s soundtrack, but it's David Bowie. He's one of my favorite humans ever to be on the planet. So, and on that note, his Goblin King just owned that movie. Even though he's got the crazy, the big hair and the tight pants, but he was deeply magical, very into that role, I think, and just I think he really liked acting. He didn't do a lot of it. He did a few films, but I think he really, really wanted to do more. But he was the Goblin King is just absolute inspiration for D&D, it was my opinion. Let me just check to make sure I don't have anybody in chat. Not right now. Okay, yeah. So let's see, and then he has Lady Hawk. Now, Lady Hawk, I didn't actually mention that because I didn't make a big list for myself. Lady Hawk is one of my favorite films, and touching on Lady Hawk, when they made Lady Hawk, and the director just recently passed away. It was the director of Lady Hawk, is the director of the original Superman, and he's done a lot of really in all the Lethal Weapon movies, but or at least some of them. Lady Hawk. Now, what they did, because they had heard in audiences that audiences were getting really sleepy with the Excalibur music, the Lady Hawk director or producer, maybe it was the director that made this choice, probably. He wanted to do music that was not going to put people to sleep. So he did this the soundtrack of Lady Hawk is very 80s, and it's just kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it. I wish that it was more serious music, but I understand why they did this music. And now nostalgia, as far as nostalgia, it wouldn't be the same movie without it. As far as Lady Hawk, story concept is phenomenal. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm not giving away. I guess most people have seen it. This woman and the guy she was with, they're cursed, so they're never together. One of them is I believe he's a wolf. He's a wolf at night. He turns into a wolf at night, and she's human. And during the day, she turns into a hawk, and he's human and travels with the hawk, and she flies on his shoulder. But they're never together. And they are cursed to never be together, but they're always together because they're just one of them is always in an animal form. That concept, you can do all kinds of things with that concept. You can use that concept, and no one will even. It's an awesome concept. And in regards to the character, I'm a huge Matthew Broderick fan. I so much like Ferris Bueller. I mean, not really, but I related with Ferris Bueller a lot because I missed a lot of school and I had a very free spirit. My mom didn't like public schools anyway, and I tried, you kind of like, you just try to use your wits to kind of apply to life as opposed to just doing all the hard work. So I'm not trying to sell that as something people should do, but yeah. So his kind of thief-like character, was his name Mouse? Did they call him Mouse in that? Anyway, he was great. And Rutger Hauer. Now, Rutger Hauer, I've seen him in several things. Blade Runner is one of my favorite fantasy movies. Not fantasy, sci-fi movies, and he is the character in that is awesome. And to talk about complexity in regards to bad guys, because he's a bad guy, but the ending is so amazing in that movie that he just really is. The movie was so beautiful and done so well, and the story was based on a book, I think. But his performance and his character in Blade Runner, you got to see that. But anyway, Rutger Hauer played this. He's wearing this, I think, black armor, and he's this amazing knight. I don't mean like a knight that serves a kingdom. I just mean he has the armor, and he's phenomenal with a sword. And I think there's like an evil religious priest guy who is in lust with the girl, and he's one that does the curse on them, I think, or something like that. But yeah, so Rutger Hauer is just badass. Looking and watching him, I think he had a crossbow, and then Michelle Pfeiffer is a really great actress. She was younger. She's just a really good actress. She's gonna potentially make you emote, and so that kind of went off on Lady Hawk, but that's okay. yeah, so I'm going to check one more time to see if we got any more, anybody in chat. Doesn't look like we got anybody today. So I generally don't keep these super long unless there's people in chat, because chat is the main reason I'm on here. But that's what the subject matter is here. Also, D&D, and this will be available on here, but it'll also be uploaded onto my YouTube and then my Twitter. My links, social media links, are down below, I believe. So yeah, if you have any replies or any suggestions for when to talk, I'm looking to stream this show 3 or 4 times a week, and then but mainly Dragon Riders, and that's the name of the channel. Dragon Riders is I'm hoping to actually run some live campaigns on here at some point. It may just be a one-player campaign, but whatever it will be initially, and then maybe at some point there'll be group ones. But for now, I'm going to be doing my D&D talk streams, and then at some point, like I said, I'm hoping we'll do some live streams. So. Any comments? I don't know if you can comment on this once it's not live, but like I said, you can comment it on YouTube, etc. So I really appreciate you dropping by, and I hope you have a great week. I will probably be on here tomorrow and the next day, but you're welcome to come by then too.